Finding a dinosaur is like hitting the lotto. A couple of fellas were digging in a quarry in Colorado. It was 1877, and this was a big one. A late Jurassic find, maybe 15 ton. When alive 150 million years ago, she was 85 feet long, probably moved slow. But she had a long whip like tail and spiky back. Even Allosaurus might think twice before an attack. Many love the T Rex, the Triceratops, the Brachiosaurus, but for a lot of us, there's nothing better than Diplodocus.
Hello everyone, GL2 here, and I'm back from an expedition with a couple of fellows that published an article here in National Geographic in September on the Diplodocus, on finding a Diplodocus, and excavating him in Utah, and it's a fantastic article. Coincidentally, earlier this year, the Diplodocus from Mattel, a toy, was released and very difficult to get a hold of for quite some months. And in fact, you might have paid double almost the price of $65 at Target. However, it is now pretty readily available. So if you like Diplodocus, now is a good time to get it. So Diplodocus, as stated, was a Jurassic creature about 150 million years ago. So who were Diplodocus's friends and, well, frenemies? Well, certainly Allosaurus was around at the time and also had some spiking, and Allosaurus probably did not get along very well with Diplodocus. In fact, probably Diplodocus often was the subject of Allosaurus's meals, perhaps a young Diplodocus, but with the long whip-like tail and weighing as much as 30, maybe even 40,000 pounds, Allosaurus being only 2,000 or 3,000 pounds probably would have had a very tough time with an adult. Also during the time was Stegosaurus. Yes, our friend Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus probably would stay out of the way of Diplodocus, but I don't think that they would interact in any kind of negative way, and possibly competing for water holes and places to eat was Brachiosaurus. However, Brachiosaurus was a much taller dinosaur and probably would get more choice leaves up higher, where Diplodocus was eating lower. So perhaps they didn't compete with each other at all. Now, this article here, fascinating article if you would like to get National Geographic, and there's some takeaways here. Now, what was discovered is that where they found the jumble of bones of Diplodocus, they also found Allosaurus bones, Stegosaurus bones, and Camarasaurus. Camarasaurus is a smaller sauropod. A sauropod is a long-necked dinosaur. In fact, I made a mistake. There was no Stegosaurus there, but it was around at that time. All right, so, but you see they have a jumble of bones here that you can see, and they have to decide or determine, actually, which bones belong to which dinosaur. And these fellas are such expert that they can whittle out, just from very small pieces, what is similar to what. All right, so you have to do a lot of work, and here's some of the fellas that did some of that work that I financed. And here they are with their big excavating bulldozer type of thing, and they're picking up a big piece of the spine. Yes, I spared no expense at all. However, I did spare one expense, well, because it's just fun. There was a lot of gnats. In fact, this dinosaur, this find was named after Natalie, with the G, like gnats, because the fellows excavating were bothered terribly, incessantly by gnats. And well, of course I wasn't there, so what do I care? But I wasn't going to spend more money to make. In fact, this is the choice they made. They decided to go out into the hot desert and brave thunder, lightning, and gnats. So if you want to be a paleontologist, well, this might be something you need to consider. And all right, and here's a skull piece. And, I don't want to take too much away from the article, but you can see here, they found this in 2007, and they've been working on it. It takes that long to chisel away all the stone around the fossil, which is not bone any longer. You see, what happens is when a dinosaur or any creature becomes fossilized, it's covered in some way, ash, mud, however, where bacteria cannot deteriorate the bones and all. Of course, it does take the tissues away, the soft tissues, usually almost always, but not always, as we're finding, because our tools are getting better and we're just getting better at finding things. Well, and what happens is the bone is actually replaced by minerals through the action of hydrolysis, and water is moving through the land, and the bone is leached out, the calcium. However, it's replaced with minerals, and then we get an exact duplicate as kind of a stone of their bones, exact duplicate. So, and then comes the mounting, and so here they are mounting this Diplodocus, and here, all right, and this is what it's going to look like. So, that is the fossilized portion of it, but now we're going to get down to the toys. Now, some facts, though, as well, as we talk about this Diplodocus. Now, T-Rex and Triceratops were not around with Diplodocus, but Brachiosaurus was, and also a friend of Diplodocus. That's right, it had another friend. It had Apatosaurus. All right, and there we are, Apatosaurus. And Apatosaurus, also a long-necked dinosaur, but more of a horizontal posturing. They can tell these things by how the bones are shaped, and those also the tendon and ligament attachments. You can't attach bones in a way that is contrary to what would be logical. You're able to tell how they knuckle together, so to speak, and where the ligament attachments were, and you can determine the position of the dinosaur. Of course, back in the day, they would have positioned a T-Rex upright like this, you see, sort of like a human being, up like that, and it would be very slow. It would drag its tail along the ground, and then over time we realized that's not proper. They're like this, the tail is used as a balance, and they just balance on their back legs and go at it. All right, so we're going to compare these dinosaurs together. Now, I've taken some notes here, and Diplodocus, as discussed, is perhaps 85, even 90 feet long, but more of a light build, so 30, 40,000 pounds. Brachiosaurus, 70 feet long, not as long, but perhaps up to maybe 90 or 100,000 pounds. So, these things vary. Sometimes you'll see 60,000 pounds, but definitely a heavier dinosaur than Diplodocus. And the Apatosaurus, being about 72 feet long and about 47,000 pounds. So again, heavier. And in fact, if you go to the Natural History Museum in Pittsburgh, the Carnegie Museum, they have a Diplodocus right next to an Apatosaurus. And you can see that they're similar in size, but you can see that the thickness of the bones of the skull and the arms and the feet are much more heavily built on our Apatosaurus. So, all right. Now, we're going to also compare that with a couple of other sauropods. And you can still find, probably on clearance, Mendociosaurus, yeah? All right, another long dinosaur. Now, I find that the description of this dinosaur is that the neck was about half of the body length. And I don't think they've achieved that with the toy. It's not, I don't think it's quite the scale or the proportions, actually, that they should have come up with. However, sometimes there's argument with these things, and so maybe they get that information from other scientists. But about 60,000 pounds for Menocheosaurus, and also Jurassic. So maybe 10 million years before, late Jurassic, Diplodocus. However, it could have been also a contemporary. It may have been at the same time. These things, these creatures, it's only a matter of what we find. So perhaps we found an older one, but it may have been around quite a while, and Diplodocus may have been around longer. All right, now, those are all very large dinosaurs, of course, but then we have the Titanosaur. Yes, Dreadnoughtus is a Titanosaur. Now, what makes it a Titanosaur? Well, it's even bigger. Yes, that's right, it's even a much larger dinosaur in weight, up to perhaps 120,000 pounds, so 3 or 4 times heavier than a Diplodocus. And you can see that Dreadnoughtus, much thicker. You see how thick the neck is. So much thicker limbs, of course, it's going to need to support that. Larger head, larger neck. And actually, of these toys, it is also the longest. As long as Diplodocus is, the Dreadnoughtus is even larger. Now, there are actually supersauruses, all right, titanosaurs, that are thought to be even larger than Dreadnoughtus. So we'll have to see if they come out with a toy like that. And Dreadnoughtus was a Cretaceous dinosaur, so about 73 million years ago. So much more recent than a Diplodocus, and so perhaps that there were conditions going on where dinosaurs were just getting larger and larger. All right, now the toy itself. Well, first of all, it's different than the others. As you can see, it has more of an active stance, and you can see that it even looks possible that it would have reared up on its hind legs to get some choice meals. All right, and I like the body design that it has that, and you have all these soft spikes along its back. So very nice. Now, how do they find these spikes? What they do is when they find fossils, oftentimes if there's a tissue that is not actually mineralized, but what you can find, they'll find a fossilized imprint in the mud of a spike or a feather or a scale. And they have found these things with dinosaurs. So like raptors, as far as we can tell, were all feathered. So they weren't scaled like we saw in movies. So, all right. And, you have your head that turns all around, and your mouth that moves. And you just twist the neck here and here. And then go down and eat some food all the way down to the ground. Maybe get a drink. And lift its head up. And you don't have any lateral hip motion, just vertical. And the rear legs don't have no lateral motion as well. But you do have a tail that's on a ball joint that can move all around. And if you have the software and you want to be able to scan your dinosaur into your software and look up some Jurassic, well, actually, this would be Jurassic facts, because this is, unlike a T-Rex, this is a Jurassic dinosaur, where the T-Rex and Triceratops were Cretaceous, which is, millions and millions of years later. So I hope that you enjoy this little fella here, this it's quite a large toy, but little fella compared to what he was. It's quite a great toy, and you can rush out and get one forthwith. So thanks for watching, and GL2 will be talking to you at some other time in the future. I've got to get back to financing some more dinosaur digs. Take care.